r/AskReddit by Redmond Dts. Children of porn stars or sex workers, what was it like growing up? Well, she put me up for adoption when I was very young. I was then adopted into a family in which my adoptive father would constantly berate me, saying that I would end up as a whore like my mother when he was angry at me growing up. I sometimes wonder if I would have been better off never getting adopted. I was blissfully unaware until my mid-20s. She didn't hide it very well, but I was a kid. Thankfully this was pre-internet and no one as far as I knew figured it out. I had a friend back in the 90s whose mom was in a few pornos back in the mid-70s. My friend was fairly open about what her mom did, and once the initial wow factor wore off, nobody really cared anymore. Dude in my dorm had a mother who posed for Hustler back in the day. Her quote was, "I like to suck cock and eat cum." Felt bad for him when that one became known. 18-19-year-old guys did not let that one go. Went to school with a girl who would always tell everyone my mom is a porn star every chance she got, from middle school all the way to graduating high school. Said she hated her because of it. She was never in her life because she got swallowed up by the drugs and the pornster crazy party lifestyle, so she only had her father and that's it. Everyone kind of dismissed it because they thought she was full of shit. Fast forward about 3 years after high school, I started a new job and met this lady who was like everyone's crazy mom at work sort of thing. Cool lady. One day I was having a conversation with some co-workers about her and they kept saying she was a porn star back in the day. I dismissed it thinking they were just talking shit and trying to mess with the new guy, or maybe just didn't like this lady for whatever reason. So one day, funny enough, I was having a conversation with this lady about the high school I went to, and she said, "Oh, my daughter went to that high school and graduated the same year you did." When I asked her what the daughter name was, sure enough, it was the girl I went to school with, and it all clicked in right there. Obligatory not me but someone I know, but a lad I went to school with, had a dad who done gay porn. Never asked him about it, as I didn't want anyone to know I was watching that, but the son himself now has an OnlyFans. My bestie has a mother who is a prostitute. Was back when she was younger, and still is. My bestie told me that growing up was rough when she told some classmates what her mom does for a living. She got bullied for some years. After they moved, and she went to a new school, she always lied about her mom because she was ashamed and scared. Nowadays, she's fine with it and tells people openly about it. The worst story she told me though was when she was around 6-7 years old. She said her parents left her in a car to gamble some money. They just wanted a quick spin, but it turned into hours. Finally she went inside and asked a server if she could help her find her mom. The server apparently had a look of shock and disgust for the parents, which honestly I understand. Not to be judgmental, but I guess sex workers, drugs, and gambling are sometimes going hand in hand. Bestie said it was totally normal for her as a kid, and nowadays has went through a lot of therapy to deal with all those things. What I got out of it is, it isn't easy for a child that doesn't understand what's happening and what exactly she does. My mum was a prostitute from the age of 16 to 19. I would say I had a good upbringing. I was lucky in the sense I got to travel and see nice places, and we lived in a nice house with nice things. The thing was she was a pretty neglectful mum. Would leave me and my sister home alone some weekends. When we were around 7 to 10, she drank heavily. If you spoke to her, she was able to seem very put together and easygoing. Had a lot of people tell me how amazing my mum is, and it would get annoying because people had such a different view from the mum that would get blackout drunk at home and attack her kids because she always thought we were trying to kill her. I'm 26 now and don't even live in the same country as her anymore, but we do still talk and I love her. She doesn't drink anymore, but she is very manipulative. I don't know if she always has been or if I see it now because I'm not close to her. She will tell me I gave up my family for a man and how wrong that is. She has always been upset that I have only ever been with one man, and says she feels bad for me that I haven't gotten to know more men. Very weird, warped things. But she can be very loving and say the most beautiful things. I dunno, nice to rant about it, thank you. A kid at my school had a mom that did Hustler magazine and various nudes. We never mentioned it to him. I'm sure he knew though. He was very popular, but mainly because we all wanted to go over to his to see his hot mom all the time. Kids would be begging and offering to do his homework just so they could hang with him at his house. I knew one kid in high school whose mother was a porn star. So many kids talked about it, I never witnessed anyone making fun of him, but I'm sure it happened. But I never bothered the kid, he was a cool dude and never bothered anyone. I'm sure some kids bothered him, but he seems to be doing well for himself. Have a similar story, but with a worse ending, as the kid was bullied hard for it, and the mom had zero understanding that her actions was the reason why he was bullied, and in the end it all became too much for him, and he ended it for good. Pretty bizarre at times. Looking back, mum definitely had a couple of personality disorders which drive her, but nobody ever looks closely at that when the cameras roll. She hated aging, and was very obsessed by her looks. She was overly sharing with me from a very young age about sex and her sex advice, which by the way I never even asked for, was thrown my way at every opportunity. I'm still not convinced a 9-year-old needed to learn all about her threesome blowjob scene, but there you go. I'm from Nevada, and there was a kid that I went to school with and played organized football and basketball with, whose mom was a legal prostitute at a legal brothel. It's legal in most of Nevada, but only a few of us knew, and no one gave him any talk about it. A friend of mine's, his mum did a load of porn tapes back between 88 and 94, when my mate was about 13 or 14 and 88. He grew up messed up having guys pop around for a few hours, and guy and his mum disappeared into bedrooms, etc., or he would be sent to stay with friends etc. for weekends. Was a very messed up time for him as everyone knew what his mum was doing, and mates had seen tapes, and abused him for it. When he turned 15, my grandparents took him in until university, and from then he never spoke with his mum again. He's been mentally messed for best part of 30 years and decided to leave UK in 2007 for Canada, where he works in construction. Sadly, he's had several relationships fail in past due to his belief that men and women had to act and be the same way. He's now married to a phenomenal understanding wife, but he still has moments. His mum wasn't an international porn star, but more a national porn star in United Kingdom. Back then they would film themselves then sell DVDs around pubs and clubs throughout UK and under-counter video stores and sex shops. Not that I know much about this as I'm a good Christian fellow. Not good. We lived on the streets. Slept in laundromats, sometimes dive hotels. Mom was always in the bar looking for a client. Don't do heroin. Mom was a prostitute for several years. It aged her badly. She died in her 40s. I have an older cousin and aunt who were legit porn stars. I don't want to talk about how I found that out, but I spent my teens desperately praying that no one at my school would find out. Sons of prostitutes, how do you feel about what your mother did? Didn't think I'd ever see the day where other people would be talking about this. I'm a son of a prostitute and I've literally seen it all growing up. I can remember being left in a trap house and my mom telling me she'd be back in a few hours. Little did I know she wouldn't be coming back for a few days. I can vividly remember eating stuffed Oreos for days and hating them. For some odd reason I had strong mother-son bond with her, although she put me through the most difficult times. And it never really went out. I haven't seen her in about 10 years now. Through various prison movements and coronavirus she is seemingly unfindable. Out of all the crazy shit I seen because of her, I still feel sorry for her and love her, just like I did was little. I truly don't hold any resentment for her actions anymore. I forgive her. Though she put me through a lot, I wouldn't wish any negative energy upon her. Mom was a porn star in the 70s and 80s. Did stuff with Ron Jeremy and the like. It was always a very taboo thing growing up, but my dad tried to prepare us for bullies at school, due to the town being fully aware of what she did. No bullies. Mine didn't walk the streets, but she slept with men when we needed money or food. She hid it pretty well. We always thought these men were being nice and just giving us money. Now that I look back on it, it all makes sense. She passed 10 years ago, and I'm thankful to her for it. Bastard son of a Thai prostitute here. No idea who my real dad was, but luckily one of my mum's clients fell in love with her, married her, and adopted me. When things went bad, he got custody of me and got me the F out of there. He was a terrible dad over the years, but I'm forever grateful for the fact I'm where I'm now cause of him. I'm now a dad myself, and making sure I don't make any of the same mistakes. Mine was one in the past, before I was born. She never hidden the fact she was one when I was old enough to understand what prostitution was. Doesn't change a thing for me. She's still my mom, who sacrificed everything to keep me well fed. Still love her with all my heart. In my town, a kid was expelled from a school because his mother was a prostitute. A friend has a mom who is a meth head and prostitute. From his descriptions, she's in rough shape, homelessness, ill health, $10 blowjobs in alleys. He is married and stable. He goes out 2 or 3 nights a week looking for her. When he finds her, he gives her money, gets her to eat, tries to get her off the street. Many times she doesn't recognize him. I asked him why. It's futile as fudge, and he knows it. He said, "It's my mom. As long as she and I are alive, I can't stop trying." I grew up with a guy whose mother was a prostitute. It did not end well. He was abused by multiple men. She was a severe drug addict. Last I knew, my friend was in prison. The mom has long since been dead from an overdose. Yeah, not my mom, but I do have a story. In my high school, everyone found out one of the girls' mums had been in a porno movie. Nothing really happened until one of the boys got said tape and decided to throw it on during a school presentation. The girl basically ran off crying during the assembly and transferred to another school quite far away. It's a shame because she was real nice. I heard later on the same thing happened and she went into private tuition. The whole ordeal followed her like a curse. She doesn't do it anymore. Anything she did in the past is absolutely none of my business. I'm not one to judge. It is what it is. I still love my mom regardless. It's fine, because she doesn't do it anymore, and we have a really happy life. My aunt was a prostitute, and she killed her son as well as her 2 daughters, so I'll speak for them. The oldest daughter was a little older than me, and she hated her life with her mom. My family and our grandmother stepped in to help raise them, and we all wish we adopted them before the tragedy. This isn't an anti-sex work viewpoint, it's just my family story. My aunt had a lot wrong with her. I feel like she did what had to do to take care of her 2 boys as a single mother. I don't even feel shameful about it. I still love and adore her memory. I'm thankful she was willing to sacrifice her body so we could have clothes and food. All things considered, she was an amazing woman who taught me about the world and definitely shaped my personality. Can't believe I just openly posted about this. But screw it. I love her and am not ashamed. Hard to say. I think being adopted was probably the best bet personally. My mom died a crack whore, and I never tried to reconnect with family. Moving on with your life instead of trying to get answers to things past is what I feel is best. I'll never know her reasons, and I'm okay with that. I'm from a country where prostitution is legal, so my experience might be different from others. At first my mother was working freelance, but later on she opened her own place where she was renting rooms to other girls so that they can work together. Her place got quite famous and she got a lot of requests from medias every time they wanted to do documentaries or just reporting pieces about sex workers. Since she agreed, she appeared on national television a couple times and she got recognized quite often for a short while. Now, how do I feel about it? As her son, it was difficult at the beginning to accept this kind of things, but she was always honest about the environment in which she was working to reassure me that she was always safe and doing it in her own term. It is such a strange experience, but one day it just became completely normal to me. Business is business. My family is otherwise normal, so normal it would be considered boring for most. Fun story. In school we used to have Parents Teachers Day, and around the beginning of middle school for me, she stopped going to these meetings. The reason for that was told to me much later. The last time she went, she actually saw one of my teacher that was also one of her client. The mood was apparently extremely awkward, but I was completely oblivious to it at the time. That's all folks. Thank you for watching. If you like videos like this one, why not like and subscribe for more? Have a nice evening. Tell your friends about me.